All right, it appears the league is giving up on D'Angelo Russell, so much so that the reports are the Timberwolves tried to trade him at the draft and cannot find a deal they liked in return. I understand it. I understand D'Angelo Russell is a very flawed player, but to me, you're about to get the best D'Angelo Russell you've ever had. He's 26 years old. This is supposed to be the prime years of his career. And no, you don't want to pay D'Angelo Russell on a max deal. But guess what? You already gave up a lottery pick and Andrew Wiggins to get D'Angelo Russell on a max deal. You've already done that. Andrew Wiggins is a champion. Jonathan Kuminga is probably going to be a multiple time All Star. The damage is done. But for your team, I actually think D'Angelo Russell is a additive, helpful, useful player. This is someone that can get Anthony Edwards shots. This is someone that can get Karl Towns shots. When those two guys are both not natural playmakers, you need one on the team. And I think D'Angelo Russell is just such a natural connector between Karl Towns and Anthony Edwards. Those guys are not playmakers. And having a guy that can get both of them the ball is very useful for your team. Now, we could talk about the flaws of D'Angelo Russell. We could talk about how he only averaged 12 points and 33% in the playoffs. We could talk about it. I understand it. I acknowledge it. Do you know how bad you have to be from two to shoot 33% from the field while shooting almost 39% from the three? It was awful. It was atrocious. We all seen it. We all seen it. And we could point out the flaws. We could point out the fact that he has no explosiveness getting to the rim. We could point out the fact that he's an average mid-range shooter, not a great shooter. We could point out the fact that he's an average three-point shooter, not a great three-point shooter. And this is why D'Angelo Russell has always been kind of stuck in no man's land or in that middle ground, because if you turn on the TV one night, he's going to be an elite shooter. But if he's not an elite shooter, he becomes very average as far as scoring the ball, because he's not going to get to the free throw line at all. And he's not going to be Kyrie around the rim. And he's not Steph Curry from three. He's just an average three-point shooter. So he looks underwhelming a lot of times unless that three ball is really going in for him, because he can have a night where he's 0 for 8 from three and the three just not going in. And also, he has no way of getting easy buckets because he's not explosive getting to the rim and he can't get to the free throw line. So that's how you have nights where he's shooting 33% from the field while shooting 39% from three, because it's hard for him to get any easy type buckets if they're not three pointers. So we can talk about his flaws all day. He's not Steph Curry. He's not Kyrie Irving. He's not Dame Lillard. He's probably not even CJ McCollum. But he's going to be a very steady, good player for this Timberwolves organization. And also, you wonder why you can't trade him right now. He has a $30 million max deal. His next deal is not going to be that. His next deal is going to be a valuable contract. His next deal is going to be a very good player in the NBA type of deal. And those deals are movable all the time. So it just makes too much sense to keep him. If your plan is to get rid of D'Angelo Russell, it does not make sense to do it right now unless you know D'Angelo Russell is leaving for somewhere else. And I don't know where that somewhere else would be, because like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it seems like almost every team has given up on the idea of D'Angelo Russell as being a starting point guard. You know, he's 26 years old now. Teams are not really interested in pursuing getting the best out of D'Angelo Russell at this point. They rather draft the 19-year-old and see what that player could do. He's reached that state of his career. And it's something I was talking about with Brandon Ingram before the season started last year. And obviously, Ingram has been a lot better than D'Angelo Russell. But before the season started last year, I said, is this Ingram's last chance? And a lot of people were put off by that. He's only 24. What do you mean, is this his last chance? A lot of people didn't like that. But what I meant is teams move on. If you're a team and you're not believing in what you've seen from a player at 24 years old, why would you pay him a max deal when you can just go draft the next 19-year-old small forward instead of paying Brandon Ingram max money? So if I'm a team like blowing it up, why would I trade for this pretty good, even all-star talent, 24, 25-year-old, instead of a first-round pick or multiple first-round picks, where I have the opportunity to draft someone that might be generational? And D'Angelo Russell is one time thought of as a generational prospect. That has not happened. And I will admit to you, I've given up on that hope. I've given up hope that D'Angelo Russell will ever make another All-Star team. I've given up that hope. But do I think he can still be a hell of a contributor on a very good winning, contending team? I absolutely do think he can do that. And we all know they were so close to winning that first round series this year. And the reason they didn't win it was there was a lot of reasons, but D'Angelo Russell's play was very high amongst that list. So I understand why the Minnesota Timberwolves may have a sour taste in their mouth from what just happened in the playoff run or lack of a playoff run. But you guys got to understand, you don't get there without D'Angelo Russell being a huge part of that team, a huge factor in contributing to winning, a huge part of your offense, a connector between your two best players that really don't pass that well at this point in their careers. Again, if you want to trade D'Angelo Russell, unless you have an assurance that he's leaving, that he does not like it there, I don't see why you don't keep him around to get him on that next valuable deal where he's going to be very valuable to teams looking for a guard. Even if D'Angelo Russell becomes a sixth man, even that's a very real possibility for him at this point of his career. If you look at someone like a Jalen Brunson or a Colin Sexton, I think D'Angelo Russell's right there with those guys as far as his status in the league. And those guys both could end up being six men in their career, honestly. I know Jalen Brunson's about to get this crazy deal, but D'Angelo Russell is on that level to me. So even if you're trading for him as a sixth man, on his next deal, that's going to be worth it. That's going to be worth it. So Timberwolves, you've already done the damage. You've already given up Andrew Wiggins. You've already given up Jonathan Kuminga. Why are you going to sell D'Angelo Russell for nothing? Why are you going to sell him for nothing? He has a great relationship with your best player. He helps your best player. He helps your second best player, contrary to what people keep saying, like D'Angelo Russell is just taking 20 shots a game. I think he actually helps take the pressure off of Anthony Edwards from the playmaking perspective. And it just makes too much sense to keep him around. But maybe I'm being biased because I've always been a D'Lo fan. But I've come to the realization, D'Angelo Russell as the next savior, that's gone. That's been dead for a while. That's been dead for a while. Like I said, he probably will never make another All-Star team, but most of the league doesn't. He's still going to be a very, very good player. So I wouldn't give up on him just yet, and I don't think the Minnesota Timberwolves should give up on him either.